guys, it's Dr. Bickling from Own It Dental. As always, here's my contact information if you need to get a hold of me. And if you guys are enjoying these videos, please do hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button. It's right down below. It only takes you a second. If you don't do it now, make sure you do it before you leave. Speaking of leaving, last week we talked about why patients might leave your practice, but today we're going to talk about why staff might leave. So let's dig into it. All right, like I said, today we're going to talk about some reasons why staff might leave your practice. As always, I did a little research on there. First, I went to the so-called experts on this and found a lot of opinions. So if you know me, I don't give a lot of insight or a lot of credibility to opinions. I'm looking for facts, and that means I need data. So one of the first places I dove into was the Harvard Business Review. They had a little article on why staff leaves their jobs. And the first one that popped up was like they didn't like their boss. Now, I don't know what that means. That sounds to me like an opinion. So, of course, we all have people that we don't like, but how do you quantify that? How do you define that? And I don't know what that means. Second one here is they don't see opportunities for promotion. And in dentistry, this is a big deal. Most dental offices, if you're a non-clinical staff member, what's the highest rank you could become in the office? And that's office manager, and there's only one of them, right? So, for a lot of us, a lot of the non-clinical staff members, one of the reasons why they leave their practices is that there's no room for promotion. They can't go anywhere. And even same thing with doctors and hygienists, they're just going to be a doctor and they're just going to be a hygienist. There's no room for promotion. But as many of you know, I was the chief dental officer of a company with 26 offices, and I was promoted. And one of the reasons why I was promoted is because that company grew. So this is a good reason why you need to grow your company. It's not just to help. It's not just to make money. It's mainly to help the patients. You're not kicking the patients out the door, but also you're helping your staff. Because as you grow, you're going to give more opportunities for promotion to more people. So I'll do a whole nother video on that, but I do think that this is a big thing right here. And it's a thing that we dentists get wrong all the time because we're not growing our practices enough. Last one, they actually said in the Harvard Business Review, they were offered a better gig. They said that in it, but I assumed that meant higher pay. But one of the things as I was going through this article, I didn't see any data. They didn't cite how many people were surveyed or something like this. So, but it had Harvard's name on it, so it must have been good, right? So, but then I found this study where they actually talked to about over 170,000 employees and asked them, some questions about why they may have left their job, and they ranked them in order, the top 10, and here they are right here. And of course, the number one up at the top is poor pay. So this goes into that internal and external fairness that I talked about a couple of videos back. If somebody's can get paid more across the street to do the same job, well, of course they're going to take that job. That's external fairness. So if they're expected to do the same job across the street, work the same hours, but except get paid more, of course they're going to take that job. So that's one of the reasons why they might leave. Second one up here, lack of career advancement. And that's another one we dentists are terrible with because we don't grow our practices enough. We don't grow our businesses enough. Everybody pretty much is stuck where they are until, the office manager retires. So this is why you see a lot of, non-clinical dental staff just bouncing from job to job. They're front desk here and then front desk there, just bouncing from job to job because they don't see any upward mobility. And I believe that that's my job as the business owner to give my staff the career advancement that they deserve. That otherwise, what do I expect? Of course, they're going to be bouncing from job to job. Next one on the list, feeling disrespected at work. I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to quantify that. Of course, we all know what disrespect looks like, but how do you measure it? How do you quantify it? That to me sounds a lot like an opinion, sounds subjective. So I can't give too much insight into that other than don't disrespect people. So Childcare issues. This is an important one. Now, this study wasn't done in dentistry. This was done all across all fields. But in dentistry, I'd say a vast majority of our employees are female. So many of them might have childcare issues. So what are some things that we could do to help overcome that? Not enough flexibility. Now, I looked into this a little deeper. Some of this had to do with like the staff being able to choose their hours or work from home or something like that. It's a little hard for us to do that in dentistry because we're a very, doctor to patient or hygienist to patient, service-based business. However, there are some positions that might be able to work from home. If you have somebody who's making hygiene reactivation calls, there's no reason why they actually have to be in the office. Those staff could work from home, right? They just got to make sure they're getting their phone calls done and they're reaching the patients to get them on the schedule. So there are some options where we could potentially have a little bit of flexibility, but that's going to be a tough one. Poor work-life balance. This is one where I find that a lot of my clients and a lot of doctors that are open 6 and 7 days a week, they're kind of falling into this trap. When I had Strong Smiles Dental Care, my offices were open 7 days a week. We were open as much as 75, 80 hours a week, but none of my staff worked more than 4 days a week. They did work a couple of long days, but they also worked a couple of short days. And they only worked like every other Saturday or every other weekend. So just because you're open 6 and 7 hours a week doesn't mean that your staff can't have 3 or 4 days off every single week. So I'm a personal believer. This is my opinion, so take it for what it is. I'm a personal believer that in dentistry, it's such a stressful job that you really shouldn't be working more than 3 or 4 days a week. Make a couple of those days long days. Your staff won't mind coming in and working a long day so long as they can have the next day off, right? So give them a little bit of work-life balance. And by the way, it's always easier to get the stuff done in the middle of the week than it is on weekends. Maybe they want to enjoy their weekends, so give them a day off in the middle of the week so they can get their groceries done or go to the gym or do something, get the dry cleaning done or something like that. I don't know, take the kid to the doctor or something like that. So give them some options there. Burnout. This is another one that's a little hard to define, a little hard to measure, but it talks about staff either taking on more responsibilities but not for more pay, or just doing the same job over and over again with no lack of career advancements. They're just not seeing their life going anywhere, so they burn out. And that's, we see that all the time. But again, I don't know how to quantify that. I don't know how to define that, so we'll just take that as a subjective thing. Bad manager or boss, again, sounds a little subjective to me. I don't know how to measure that. Don't be a bad manager. Don't be a bad boss. Actually, if you have all your systems in place, a manager should be irrelevant. A manager, as you know, a manager is just a person that holds a clipboard and makes sure that things get done. So, if you have good systems in place, the manager should be irrelevant, really. Finding a new purpose. Again, that sounds a little subjective, but how many hygienists do you know that within the first 5 or 10 years of their career, they're doing everything they can to get out of being a hygienist? Maybe they want to go teach in a school, or they become. How many hygienists do you know that have become real estate agents or something like that? So they didn't want to work evenings and weekends before, but now they're real estate agents. So jokes on them, huh? And then company culture was the last one on the list. And hey, listen, I've worked for some places, and I work a couple of days a week now at a place that has wonderful culture, but staff still leave. So again, I think that one's just a little bit of a subjective thing. You can have the best company culture on earth, and staff is still going to leave. So I think some of the things that you can measure, some of the things on this list that you can measure, some of the more important ones, and there are also things that we can do something about. So. And I'll get back to this here in just a second, but there's one last thing I wanted to touch on here before I go, and that is, if you have a staff member that you find as looking for another job, or they've gotten another job offer, even if you give them a counteroffer, 50% of those staff are no longer going to be with you in 12 months time. So, if somebody is looking or they get another offer, even if you give them a counter offer that's better, they're probably going to be gone. Half of them are going to be gone within the next 12 months anyway. So this is just to show that it's best to cut these things off at the pass, solve these problems before they become problems, by recognizing what are the real reasons why staff leave in the first place. So getting back to this one, poor pay. Again, that's just internal and external fairness. If somebody can get paid more to do the same job across the street, work the same hours, they're going to take that job. Now, if your office is open evenings and weekends, you're expecting them to do more. You're expecting them to be there later hours and work on weekends. So on those days and times, they should get paid more. That's just external and fairness. So lack of career advancement. I firmly believe that it's my duty as a business owner to grow my practice and perhaps even open up multiple offices so that I give my staff career advancement. If I just open up one practice and let it be and let it plateau for the next 30 years, all I'm doing is creating dead ends for my staff, creating a nice income for me, but I'm kicking patients out the door and I'm creating a dead end for my staff. To me, that's selfish as a dentist. It's dentists, we live a good life, but we're just creating dead ends for our staff and kicking patients out the door. So I feel it's my duty, if I'm a business owner and going to have a nice life, that I need to create career advancement opportunities. Feeling disrespected at work, that sounds like an opinion. Not much I could do about that other than try not to disrespect people. Childcare issues. That's something that you might want to get a little creative with. Sometimes if you find that a lot of your staff, they have kids, or, they got to drop their kids off at daycare or at school, maybe there's something you could do to work with them. Maybe if you have a place that's big enough, you can have an in-house childcare, something along those lines. That would certainly be a way of keeping your staff, I'm sure. Not enough flexibility. Again, our hands are a little tied with that just because of the nature of our work. But if there are some opportunities to let your staff either pick their schedule or pick, the days and times that they work, that might give them a little flexibility. Poor work-life balance. Like I said, it's my firm belief, my opinion, that people in dentistry shouldn't work more than about 4 days a week. If you start making them work longer hours, you might lead to this burnout. I hear that a lot. Don't know how to define it, but we've all heard of it. Bad manager or boss. I think if you have good systems in place, your manager or your boss should be irrelevant. It's just a person holding a checklist, making sure that things are getting done. And if they're not, just asking why. Finding new purpose and company culture. These last ones all seem a little subjective to me. So I would just focus on the ones that you can measure, the ones that you can manage. And those are the ones we talked about already. So you do those things, hopefully cut them off at the pass before they become issues so that your staff doesn't want to leave in the first place. So in any case, I'm Dr. Bickling. Here's my contact information. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, go to ownitdental.com or click the link above and check out my services. I have dozens of hours of training videos and I've negotiated reduced lab fees for all my clients. So if you want to get out of the dental chair and start owning your business, go to ownitdental.com and check out my services, and I'll see you soon.